Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Oh, hold on a minute. There's our thanks to the Gumpers on the screen there, and that was a big round of applause for you earlier on. Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? I was just trying to find a picture of my I was going to say my hungover self from last night. I wasn't hungover at that point, but it turns out quite a lot of people were out having a great time on a school night last night, including Veronica, who joins us at 9 o'clock this morning. What was the message she sent me late last night, only to discover that I was out as well, responding? Tomorrow may be a hungover show, hee. She's going to be a professional, as we know, and she'll be here regardless of going on a bit of a bender last night, perhaps a mini bender in the Algarve. Same here. Let's see what she was up to, shall we? She's all sorts of preparations have been going on for Veronica to be on the show, including a tinfoil hat, I think, as well. So I'll bring you the pictures in just a moment. But this was the boozing from last night.
Hi, friends. Hello. These are new potential expats from France, Canada, and
yes, Canada, not a country. Don't ever repeat what she said.
Canada and
US.
and US
And England.
and England. And we have the British over there.
Let's speak to then.
Oh, British Canadians.
Canadian.
And we're drinking. And tomorrow's a Good Morning Portugal show. So if this makes it on the Good Morning Portugal show,
Don't let it.
That means
I'm not
I am
involved with
hungover and look like Icky tomorrow. And this is going to be why.
She'll be here. And thank you for pointing out that you'd been drinking there. We'd never have guessed, Veronica. And I sent my response, just a selfie outside the wonderful Bayer Cultural Bar. We didn't do that smashed window that you can see on the screen there. One of my colleagues from the men's shed last night, what a fantastic post men's shed little drinking session we had. Not glorifying drinking, it was just part of the lubrication of sociability, not praising the boozing and the imbibing of alcohol in its own right necessarily, but it was part of a most excellent evening and actually part of an excellent day. Welcoming my in-laws here. Louisa's mum and dad are back in the country, so it was lovely to pick them up from the airport yesterday. And airport news today. It looks as though the Lisbon airport location has been decided. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And we look forward to welcoming Veronica, probably having a coffee now at around 9 this morning. And Carl Hyde, of course, from the capital. He might have something to say about that, the new Lisbon. I'm sure he will. He'll have something to say about the new Lisbon airport location, which we'll talk about in just a little while. But I was reminded, talking about having a great time, having a drink, having fun, hanging out with friends and enjoying life here. When we arrived on the Silver Coast, I thought it would be wonderful to take Alan and Dee, my in-laws, to Foz de Relho, to one of the beach bars there. It's a nice way to land, be here in Portugal, be in this particular part of the country. And as I was sat there, and I was talking about this to my colleagues at the men's shed last night about, how lucky we are to live in Portugal. And what struck me as I sat there with my in-laws and the three generations, grandkids, grandparents, and me and Luisa sandwiched in the middle of them, was how the Portuguese enjoy their version of the dolce vita, a vida boa, the good life here in Portugal. And I was quite taken by it, actually, and I think I'll write about it in the Portugal Resident. But the thing about the vida boa, and I've got to learn how to say it correctly in the right order, a vida boa, the good life, the life which is good here in Portugal. And, the Italians have their dolce vita. I think people all around the world have, the good life. Just a celebration of the moments when you think to yourself, this is what it's all about. And I think there's a particularly Portuguese way of doing that. That's not about spending the most money or drinking the most drink, for that matter. Although those things are involved, money exchanges hands, drinks may be imbibed, food may be eaten. But there was just something about being in this bar yesterday and looking out over the Atlantic and thinking people from all walks of life are in this beach bar, enjoying themselves here, going about their business, just enjoying the vida boa here in Portugal. And it really isn't about how much you spend. That doesn't guarantee you a great time. It's not about getting the best or the top shelf booze. It's not about having the most Michelin stars. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but it's not about those things. There's some intrinsic and beautiful enjoyment that is so easygoing and so intangible that it might be the positive side of saudade, the Portuguese word for of homesickness, or a longing, a yearning for something that's gone in the past, all rolled up in this word saudade. I wanted to roll up this feeling of just life being good, and it was so much to do with our hosts and their way of life here in Portugal, that it would be great to have a phrase or a word for that. And the best I've got so far is vida boa, the good life here in Portugal. And there's just something about it. There's just something unique and wonderful about the way the Portuguese do that, or enable that, or facilitate that, such that we can come here and do that as well. So I'm very grateful to our Portuguese hosts and the traditions and the ways of life here in Portugal that allow that to be the case. We've talked about the Portugal moment, the Portuguese moments, haven't we? Where you're sitting there and your plans to come to Portugal, you realize that you've realized them, and it's like, oh, yes, this is it. This is what it was all about. And I hope that you have many such moments, that you understand what I'm talking about, because it's hard to understand it until it actually happens. And it's hard to it's easy to forget how we don't maybe necessarily respect, respond, and are grateful for those moments. We normalize everything as human beings. Our mind normalizes situations to make us feel safe. And it's when you get visitors come and you think, okay, well, I'll share that experience with them. And then you can relive it for yourself. And that's what I was able to relive and see in being with Alan and Dee, and being with 3 generations of the family, sat on a Portuguese, in a beach bar very close to the Atlantic, and the waves were crashing on the beach. They were like green glass. It was so beautiful, and the white foam and the sun and the kite surfers. It was a beautiful scene, and it was complete. It was 110% vida boa here in Portugal. So I hope that makes some sense, and I wish many of such moments for you too. Right, let's move on and see who is in the chat this morning. Suze, Thunder Duck, T Duck, and agreeing life is indeed very good in Portugal. We are very fortunate to be here. So I think a subscriber to Vida Boa there, and I just want to shout it from the rooftops. But then again, do I want to shout? I just want to sit there and enjoy it, and wish that others might enjoy it too. Barak is here as well. Barak, good morning to you. Or Lord Travanca, of course. Now, is it Travanca or Travanca? I think it's Travanca, isn't it? I got your pronunciation note there when we spoke on the Tuesday evening. Thanks for coming along to that meeting, Barak. Good to see you this morning. Deagle's in as well. Jackie, the humble crafter. Veronica is lolling already, lolling around the floor, as well as laughing out loud. And Michael Barton, bon dia, from a beautiful and finally sunny Miranda de Corva. Took your time, sunshine in Miranda de Corva. And look at Suze, who's with us at 4:30 in the morning. Bless you, Suze. How is life going over there? Tell us a bit more about how life is turning out for you in the latest part of your life adventure and journey, if you will. Coach Turner's in back home with the God Squad tip of the day this morning. And I noticed that Paul and Dougie were in yesterday saying, whatever medication Carl's on, I want some. I am not enhanced this morning. I really am not. In many ways, I'm somewhat at a energetic disadvantage, having stayed up and drunk some very fine German beers in some great company. and stayed up late and ate Portuguese barbecue chicken earlier in the evening. had a long and late day. And it's just something to do with what I was talking about before. I think that's my natural medication and meditation this morning, as I shared with you. Diga, bon dia, Carl and Gumpus from a dry, sunny Belfast, already in double figures, 10 degrees over there, blue in the sky, going to be a stunning 18 today. Life is about enjoying the simple things, making them memories. Yes, absolutely. That's what we're talking about this morning, isn't it? Good morning to you, Diego. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz quinta a todos. Como é vosso dia? So how is your day going already? That question being asked at 7:45 this morning by James, a.k.a. Slug says, slow down, you move too fast. Think about the practice of meditation as zoning in as opposed to spacing out. Ooh, by Susie Levan there. And yeah, don't be put off by these words, mindfulness and meditation. It's all the same, really, as the good life, the a vida boa. It's all about, to me anyway. Yeah, I guess zoning in on your gratitude and the goodness of life, and being there and enjoying that, right? And we can call it all sorts of things, and it's a shame in a way, isn't it? But we have to kind of classify things so we know what we're talking about. But then we get caught up, don't we, in the words and the classifications and forget about the actual experience itself. But not when James is around reminding us. And a mindful dad joke, happiness comes from within. I hadn't read ahead on this. That's why it feels good to, I'm going to say, pass wind and let Polly out of the cage. I didn't realize that, but it is the original joke, isn't it? And there's no mention of it in the Bible. And I suspect with the myth, the myth and story, the creation story of Adam and Eve, what's left out of the Bible is Adam's first passing of the wind and laughing to himself. And in the same way that God said, and it was good, God looked upon his creation and said, it is good. Imagine Adam as when he first passed wind. I don't know if it was a result of the apple or not, but that first, what was that? For the first time, a human being is like, well, what was that? That little rumble. And, ooh, what's that? Ooh. And it would have been the first little joke, wouldn't it? Been the first little private joke. And ever since then, us humans have amused ourselves. Not everyone's happy about it, are they? Especially other people in your midst, as it were. But I think we all have a little giggle from time to time. Well, I do, and clearly James does as well. Now, let me bring his visual memery onto the screen as well. I may have neglected to do that earlier. Oh, while I'm finding his memes for this morning, let me leave on the screen for you more of this Aurora Borealis Northern Lights thing. I don't know if I shared this with you so far, but just marvel at this and realize that if you didn't see this at the bottom of your garden, you're very welcome. I think Chevron Robinson posted this and allowed me to share it. I'm sure Chevron won't mind you using this yourself or recreating your very own. But just marvel at that for a moment while I find these other memes that came in from James. It's breaking news. So not only breaking wind, but breaking news as well this morning. I did like what you posted up on Facebook yesterday. I feel the same way as you do, James. I don't mean to brag, but my posts are enjoyed by well over 2 people worldwide. I was looking for 2 million, 2,000 even, 200. But that's pretty much how it is on Facebook these days, isn't it? And that's not what you meant to send in. I just picked that up off your timeline because I was amused by it. That is not what I meant when I said fire at will. Now, I'm guessing, because my grasp of this Star Wars stuff. Only kidding. I know it's Star Trek, really. But apart from that, I don't really know what's going on here. I'm guessing that is Will there, who's being fired at with a phaser on, not on pun, but a phaser on stun there. Very good, James. And finally, then, your other this morning, the breaking news is coming in. Local Facebook users discover that they can simply scroll past posts they disagree with instead of leaving an essay in the comments section. Yes, and getting upset. It is possible. It can be done. Not that I always manage to do that. And there are other places where you can leave an essay or a pithy little comment, like the one over at the Portugal News, where Tom, in the public domain yesterday, was responding to the location of the new Lisbon airport. So, on the other side of the Tejo River, what a disaster! No train connection, no metro connection, just taxi and bus. Fortunately, it will take another 10 years for this airport to become fully operational. And this is so often the case that you get a sour comment over at the Portugal News. So cheer up, Tom, you old bugger. Might never happen. And actually, there will be a train link, and we'll talk more about that if we have the time this morning as well. But we've got to make sure we've said hello to everybody this morning. Thank you very much, James, for your contributions thus far this morning. Let's get into a God Squad tip of the day. Oh, as well as to tell you that there's enough blue. This is what Deagle loves to see. Enough blue in the sky to patch a hole in a sailor's coat. Not his trousers, as I said the other day, but a sailor's coat. It's going to be a nice day. Get up, get out and enjoy today, says Deagle, if you're in Belfast. And bom dia todos e feliz quinta-feira, that is. Home at last with mixed feelings. Really missing, exploring all the beautiful places and meeting lots of great people. However, it's good to be back on our own home. That is the wonderful thing, isn't it, about getting home? The slippers, the metaphorical domestic slippers of being back home and reflecting all the wonderful things that you did. And you did do a few wonderful things, many wonderful things, I would say, Coach Turner. What a brilliantly planned trip. A quick thanks to all the different people who were kind enough to meet up with us. And you met a lot of Gumpers, didn't you? Almost too many to name. Special shout out to Colin and Carl for their organisational skills. I think Colin should really take the credit for that wonderful time we had up there in the Serra da Estrela mountain range. So thank you very much for that. I will see that gets passed on. In fact, let's do a quick screenshot of that now so that we can send that to Rugby Colin. Oh, that's a funny face I'm pulling, but Colin won't mind that. I have a lot of video editing to do over the next couple of days. Colin's been busy video editing as well. We've crammed so much in that they're a useful aid memoir for us. That is nice, isn't it, to look back on the memories by creating the videos. Now planning our next visit. Excellent, glad to hear that. God Squad tip of the day then. Tall people are particularly prone to lower back pain. This is an exercise given to my dad by his physio, and he never had another problem. Well, this is good, especially for tall people then. Sitting upright on a chair with your arms down by your side. I'm doing this so far. Lean slowly to one side as far as you can, and then slowly back up over to the other side. I've actually hurt my back doing this, I'm sure. So take it steady, but you will strengthen your back, I think is the thinking behind this, as you do it gently and build up. And that feels like a nice stretch, doesn't it? Continue for about 20 reps on each side. Try not to twist, making sure your head and shoulders stay straight. This strengthens the core muscles around the lower back, helping to protect it. Marvelous. Thank you very much for that, Coach. T-Duck was in as well at 8:27, just before showtime, and with greetings from Deagle there as well. And then Jackie joined us. Bon dia, Gumpers. Give me like button. A huge cuddle, folks. It will bring magic into your life. And we still don't know what it really does, do we? To smash, tickle, caress the like button. I don't know what it does, quite frankly. But do it anyway, because Jackie's asking you to cuddle it this morning. Cuddle the like button. Be careful. Barack and Michael, good morning to you both as well. And Suze and Veronica getting ready. And Paul Richards, who I mentioned, greetings from a rainy Algarve today, but sun this afternoon and 21 degrees down there. Isn't that wonderful? And James, adding to my earlier monologue about our Vida Boa, the lifestyle of Portugal is the reason there is a word for the unique kind of missing it. Yes, there you go. So it's a kind of anti-gravity, isn't it? It is the shadow definition of saudade, is the beautiful lifestyle of Portugal. Very good. There once was a girl from Perdue. Should I read further before I read it all? I don't often bother with that, do I? There was once a girl from Perdue who kept a young cat in a pew. She taught it to speak alphabetical Greek, but it never got farther than, I don't know how to say that. I mean, I'm going to say you, but what is that Greek you character there? Thank you very much. I'm going to need some sort of phonetic help with that, I think. Talking of phonetic help, here's Antonio F., who responded. Let's have a quick look then at this Portugal the capital and primary airport location in south of Lisbon, as it turns out. Over on our Portugal Club, first news coming through from Tom Smith. Thank you very much Tom, for being quick on the draw with this. And you're saying there, Tom, it looks like they finally settled on Alcochete for the new Lisbon airport. Now, that'll be a mixture of emotions. Talking of mixed emotions, that'll be a mix of emotions for people in Alcochete, won't it? I'm sure it'll be good in some ways, economically, industrially, employment-wise. But for those people who've chosen Alcochete as a beautiful, lovely, quiet place to be, get ready for aviation vapors and such, and traffic and people and tourists over that way. Good time to invest in Alcochete, possibly. It will be about 25 kilometers east of the current airport on the other side of the Tejo. They are talking about building a new rail line to serve the new airport and include it on the proposed Lisbon-Madrid high-speed rail corridor. Now, that sounds like fun, doesn't it? Here is a map with where Google thinks it will be. It should be opened in about 10 years and will be paid for by the EU. Your thoughts on that then, Tom is asking, and he's given us a little map there of where he thinks it will be. So a little way out of Alcochete and Montijo. I do like that part of the world, actually. I've driven through there. When I used to live south of the river, sometimes I'd go around the long way on the Vasco da Gama bridge. And that will be, I guess that will be the link back into town across the Vasco da Gama. Taking a little bit of pressure away from, or would it cause more pressure? I actually don't know there. And I do get confused with the north and south of the river and my relationship to it. Because this morning I was thinking, yay, it'll be easier to get to the airport. And then I thought, no, hold on a minute. No, it won't. Because it's now the other side of the Tejo. And you can see there the nature reserve. And I think that was one of the objections, really. There is a huge nature reserve there where you can see Alcochete just popping into the water. And environmentalists, I suspect, won't be entirely delighted by the proposed location of the airport. But it's one of the new measures that the government that's come in is keen to share with everybody, that they are making a decision. I guess politicians feel the need to make strong decisions, don't they, when they're just starting in office. So that's one of them. Alcochete, it looks like that's the decision that's been made on the location for the new Lisbon airport. Thank you for your additional commentary there, Antonio. And you're saying that it should be paid for by airport taxes and fees, and the HSR will probably be partly funded by the EU. I was wondering when Tom said that it was all going to be funded by the EU. Thought that was a little bit unlikely, but parts of it I'm sure will be as well part funded by the EU. Excellent stuff there. Okay, Erica K also in this morning. Good morning to you, Erica. And Aviva, Ocean Dweller, great to see you here. And it is chilly in Nova Scotia this morning. It's 4:30 in the morning as well. Bought a car, need a van. I've made friends with a woman who is portrayed in musical Come From Away and has connected me to theatre people in Newfoundland, 1,300 kilometres east. I suspect 1,300 kilometres is not a big distance in Nova Scotia, I suspect. Thank you, Suze, for the update. Lots of love to you and Taxi. A great comment you can use when someone is being ridiculous on Facebook. I suspect this doesn't really help, James. That's adorable. I was wondering about all the airport news. I don't hate the current one. I don't either. I really enjoyed going there yesterday. Excuse me a moment. I should have a sip of coffee. Yeah, hold on. I definitely need this morning. Why don't we all take a little break and have a sip of our respective beverages? What are you enjoying where you are this morning? Oh, my word. That's good. A milky coffee, a bit of honey in there. That's got to be good on the vocal cords on this particular morning when I'm feeling a little hoarse. I talked a lot last night. I mean, I talk a lot anyway, don't I? But I talked a lot last night, as I think Veronica might have done as well. Bit chatty last night. So you don't hate the current airport, says Aviva. There are others that are far worse. Yeah, I'd agree with you. Some might say Faro. Further than I thought. I am 1,300 kilometers east is further than you thought. 4 time zones west of Portugal and 4 hours east of the west coast. Very interesting situation to be in. And lean unless you have facet syndrome, as many old folks do. Is that where your fascia is a bit bonded and might need some myofascial release? Now, Aoife does that, doesn't she? Who's on here from time to time. And she wrote the book, The Art of Unwinding. I'm sure she says something about facet syndrome. But I'm guessing that's where your muscle fascia have locked up a little bit and not allowing you to do that lean. Thank you, Erica, for that little caveat there. Hola, Viva. I think the issue with the current airport is its capacity to accommodate the number of flights and volume of passengers. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a very busy airport, but I found a great place to do a pickup there. I found a great place to park just down the road a bit. And then when your people are ready and come out of arrivals, a fantastic place to pick them up so that you don't get whistled at by the policeman there. Feeling groovy this morning. Absolutely. You've picked up on that, Erica, this morning. Wouldn't it be great if they built affordable housing at the old airport site? Well, there's an idea. And that did occur to me. I was thinking that yesterday as I was leaving the airport or driving around the airport. Like, what happens? That airport will go kind of ghostly, won't it? And it will just be a shadow of its former self. But there'll be a lot of space there to do things. And I suspect, yes, housing will be part of that. Hey there, James from Aviva, and learning that this area was founded by French, English, Portuguese, and Dutch. The English was a Scottish king. What's that? The English with a Scottish king won. I think there's a bit more to come on that. Antonio telling us as well that the first study for the new airport was presented in 1972. Oh, now I think Antonio's possibly been here before. We're getting excited about this decision. He's seen it all before, 52 years ago. Well, I don't even know if you were born then, 52 years ago, Antonio, but a little lad, perhaps, maybe, I don't know. And only now, question mark, will it really move on? So I think probably new governments always shake the tree a little bit, don't they? And this might be more rhetoric. We'll see. We shall see about that. And to you, James, from Antonio, I guess the housing in the old airport area will be sky high. Very good. Good morning, people from Lee McGrady, who may have joined us to have a quick coffee himself and a smoke. And the facets are the little bones in the backs of our spines. Yeah, okay, well, you know for yourself. If it hurts, stop, for heaven's sakes. But it might, if it doesn't hurt and it feels nice, it might be quite a good thing to build into your morning routine. I'm enjoying the first cuppa and naughty smoke of the day. Well, make sure you enjoy it. Don't give yourself too much of a judgment and harsh criticism of oneself. We are our own worst critics. My view on smoking: if you're gonna smoke, make sure you enjoy it. I mean, it's a double whammy, isn't it? If you're hurting yourself health-wise with smoking, there's no point in hurting yourself mentally as well and giving yourself a hard time about it. And a bon dia to you, Lee, from Antonio F as well. Right, is that everything? Have we covered everything this morning? I wonder. I suspect we have. I might play a quick video from Veronica ahead of her joining us in just a moment. Oh, I didn't show you the picture of her in her tinfoil hat. I've got that somewhere here this morning as well. Oh, here we go. Hair and makeup ready for the show. The things ladies do at the hairdressers. Here she is. James will know something about this. James has always been messing with people's heads one way or another, if not as a hairdresser, then as a psychotherapist. And look at that. You know what I mean, James. I don't mean that badly. Nice selfie at the hairdressers, and I do like the lime green in the background. And then the close-up here of something going on with the hair treatment here. It's not a tinfoil hat, as it turns out. I think James will be able to explain. Or maybe Veronica will herself, because she's going to join us now. Let's bring her onto the screen. But before we do, give her a massive round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Algarve, Veronica is here, American in Portugal. Hola, bon dia.
Hello, how are you today? Well, I know, because I've been watching for the past half hour, right?
Well, yes, thank you for your message last night, out partying. I suspect you thought I might have been in bed already preparing for the show, but no, I too was out partying last night. It looks like we had a great time, respectively, in our different parts of Portugal, Veronica. What were you up to?
Just some potential expats figuring out where they want to live in Portugal. So they'll come, north, down south, which we love it when they do those exploration trips. And we've had quite a lot of those this past month. I mean, people are really trying to figure out, how can we get there? Where do we want to go? Where do we want to live? How do we picture our lifestyle? Which is what I love, is really digging deep. And they're great when they reach out, because we can invite them to mixers or have them meet a few people versus just going on Facebook and saying, who's available?
Yeah, and asking questions like, do you think Portugal would be a good place for me to move to? That's
people get a little snarky about that, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, all right, calm down. Like we said before, just scroll on. But I mean, people are asking for trouble in a way as well, aren't they? When they ask a question as
Right.
broad as that.
But I don't think they know. I think they're coming. They think they're coming to a Facebook site, and they didn't look that there's 18,000 people, and it's for people who live there.
Yeah,
And,
yes, that's true. Yeah,
and then some of the little expat sites, they'll be, look at the notes. And you're like, oh, excuse me, I just showed up. I didn't know there was notes.
Yeah.
So I love if you don't like this comment, there's this new thing where you just scroll past and not say anything.
Yeah, I mean, some of those people are very grumpy, aren't they? Those read the notes people.
Why are they on it? They don't.
Yeah, that's right. We don't like helping people, in fact. Read the files.
But I'm reading this post and I'm replying to it because apparently the next person will read all of the posts from the past year to find out they're going to get in trouble if they ask that question. They're brand new on the site. It's like,
Well, I saw one yesterday. I saw a really, I mean, I felt quite sorry for these people because they were issuing an alert. They'd been to a Burger King. I don't know if you saw this one, and they asked for the vegetarian option. I mean, God knows what's in those now. I dread to think, but anyway, there are. I mean, to begin with, if you're going to a burger bar, go to a burger bar and have a burger. And I think there are probably much better places to go and eat meat replacements and vegan food than there are burger bars, right?
I know. You meant the real burger like to eat meat replacements on the real when you order a hamburger.
That's what happened. No, that is what happened. So these that's what I'm saying is like if you really want an alternative to meat, maybe don't go to a fast food burger bar. Maybe go to somewhere where they really care about doing that and have a really nice vegan meal. But anyway, they were a shopping mall burger franchise. In this case, I think it was BK, and they ordered what they thought was a vegetarian burger. And they said they were reporting the fact that these burgers were probably meat. In fact, they looked a bit sinewy and meaty and tasted just like meat. Right? and their rationale was
so much in that comment. It's just so much.
It might be meat, but so they said we think maybe it's cheaper for the franchise. They gave us real meat to make more money. Because I don't know, that makes some sense that there might be more added value, as it were, inside a fake meat burger. So they gave them meat and then they made a bit of extra money. I don't think that actually went on, but whether it did or not, people were piling into that. What were you thinking? He's stupid. It's like, what? It was a real pile on. And I just, and the sad thing was, I could genuinely sense that these people were doing it out of kindness and thoughtfulness, and all they got for their trouble was a massive load of abuse and being called out for being very silly, basically. But anyway, that's what happens, and so that's why these meetups are so much better. They were very good natured, your new friends there. How did they feel about being on a film, do you think, for being filmed for Good Morning Portugal? Did they actually believe that?
I said if I don't make it tomorrow, I look really strange, which I would always make it. I would show up. You'd show up. That they were like, it's not our fault. It's not our fault.
Well, they were distancing them. It sounded like a whistleblower video. I'm feeling fine. There is nothing wrong with me. I just wanted to state that for the record on this video. Yeah.
Well, we had a bottle of wine for 5 of us? And
lightweight.
So we were just giggling and having fun. It's just fun to be out. You get up in the morning, you get out, do your exercise. It was another gorgeous day. So I was riding through all my little pine tree forest, hitting a beach, another beach cafe, and having a coffee, and then riding back a slightly different way and just going, this is so beautiful. And in the evening out with friends after, running errands all day, sitting in the hair salon for 4 hours. And
4 hours.
4 hours.
No way.
Joke. It takes like an hour and a half. Look, and it takes like an hour and a half just to put those foily guys in.
They are
I have it parted wrong. So anyway, I look better when I leave the salon than
I thought it was a tinfoil hat at first, but it's
That takes like an hour and 10 minutes. And I even had my iPad and I was doing some editing because I'm doing an east to west where to live. What I originally told Nick to do because I knew it was a big project and I didn't want to take the time to do it. But now I'm doing it from my perspective, right? From an American
I see.
moving to the Algarve. So I brought in my iPad and I just said, I'm going to look down and work. I was doing a bunch of research on the real estate market, which I was going to talk to you about. But every single opinion is a different opinion. But it made the time go by very fast because she could just, normally you're chatting. She just went in, still an hour and 10 minutes just for the foils. Then it's like an hour and a half to wait for whatever color looks decent. And then it's the whole wash and cut and blow dry. And just
4 hours. That is quite.
Be happy, your boy. It's easier.
I really am. And I've got no hair to put those foils in.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that behind the scenes, the making of kind of director's cut
Girls
video.
know. Oh, and for the girls, this is a big fact everybody asks all the time. Oh, how much is it? Can you find a good hair salon? I found a lady I love. She's just gone on her own, which I love. And we've all supported her and moved with her because she was doing that hourly pay for like 20 years, had to be there all day, every day. But the clients came to her no matter where she moved. She went on her own and she's been busy every day. This normally in the United States, in California, just for the weaving, and I know it's a mess today, sorry. But it was normally about $300. Here it was 72 euros. 4 hours of work.
Hold on a minute. $300.
Oh yeah, back in the States, it's a lot, and that was years ago because I've been here going on 8 years now.
My goodness. Yeah. Okay, fellas, think yourselves lucky for that, and a bargain at 72 here, and excellent service, I guess, as well.
Oh, she's delightful. I love her. She's a British gal and she speaks perfect Portuguese. So everybody speaks Portuguese in the salon, but then I can ask her, okay, what's this word or that word? So you can practice a bit.
Oh, how wonderful. Added value there. Now, I heard quite a funny story. I think it's funny. It's just one of those situations you find yourself in. One of the lads from our men's shed where we were at last night, he's in our local barbers, and he's having a cutthroat razor session, like a shave. While he's there, the barber's saying, "Oh, isn't it great that Shaker have become so popular in Portugal?" And it's like, this guy's not exactly a big fan of Shaker and what they represent to him, but he's got a razor to his throat. Yeah, I guess.
He should just say, "Who's that?"
Yeah, no, I guess so. But one of those funny situations you might find yourself in. Let's not think too hard about that. Okay, brilliant. You were saying you've been researching.
All the property trends, and because this is the time you get the reports, right? Because for January, February, March is the first quarter of the month. Really, by the time they collect all the data, get it May's when you kind of get that first quarter versus the last quarter of last year. And it's so funny how they hyperanalyze different data and small portions of data. And it's you just look at it, and I had like 10 different articles from 10 different agencies and put it all together and said, all the reports are conflicting. All of them are conflicting. They're just, coming back to, if you love it here and it meets your budget, you're going to live here for 10 years in a real estate cycle. What I say every time, then you just go ahead and do it. Because if you're not here to buy and sell, which is a bad idea anyway, because of capital gains taxes and the taxation that you do pay, right? When you buy and sell a home, this isn't a flipping market by any means, unless you're a business that has all the tax deductions and you are doing like, the little ancient falling down hut and turning it into a big, beautiful place, right? And then reinvesting that money in another project. But for doing it just to buy and sell yourself every couple of years, not a good idea. So no. Again, more reason to, if you're going to live here, buy here and plan to live for 10 years, full real estate cycle. And if you don't plan to live here that long, it's not a good idea.
Okay, thank you for that. And the Nick you mentioned, was that Nick Algarve Addicts?
Yeah.
He's great, isn't he? What a great bloke. Excellent. Howdy from Texas, from YouTube Punk, and hi, Veronica from Erica, who wants to know 70 plus tip or with tip? Yes, because we've talked about tipping recently with Philomena on the Expats Portugal sessions. The culture, whether to tip or not. Do you tip in the hairdressers or not? What would you recommend?
Well, especially because it's all her money and she was new. I gave her a lot, and everybody gets mad at me when I tip, but it's my personal thing. It's charity, but it's wrapped up in, I can't remember the word. Somebody wrote it out so well that it's a gift, but it's not like, oh, we think you need this or anything. It's like, you work really hard. You work 4 hours for me. It's not expected. And I guess calling it charity even it has a negative connotation, but it's like, my gosh, you just spent 4 hours with me. And
she should give you a tip. I think she should tip you for sitting still. In fact, I remember that being a kid, I had to sit still probably for 20 minutes, which seemed like 4 hours when you're a kid. And if you sit still, you get an ice cream or something like that. So I think the tip should work both ways. And how about, one way of dealing with this, because Philomena was talking about it in the restaurant, and rounding up the change might be the only expectation in Portugal, or if someone's really worked hard because it's a massive family group, you might give them a special tip, but no one's really expecting that in that situation. And then Philomena says, I run tours. If people say to me, may we give you a tip? I say yes. And that's the thing, isn't it? Why not ask? Why not say, you know what? I'm so glad. I'm so pleased with the meal we've just had. I'm so delighted by the haircut and the care you've taken. May I give you a tip? And then say, the 2:30 at Doncaster or something like that, which is a British joke, which I can see just went straight over the top of your head there. But a tip, if you say, can I give you a tip? That then allows that person, doesn't it, to say, actually, no, I don't. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's very kind of you to offer, but I don't want a tip. And others who think, yeah, actually, I don't mind tipping culture, and that would go down very well. Yes, you may tip me, and then the doors are open, aren't they? There's no funny business.
I think you could get the really kind person that would be afraid to say yes because it might sound
graspy.
Yeah. I think you just leave it and go, and if they're offended next time, they'll give it back. But I've never ever in my life had that happen.
Yes, okay, fair enough. But there you go. That's the answer to that question, Erica. Yes, a massive tip. But who doesn't like a massive tip first thing in the morning? And Ocean, I'm always happy to meet with anyone who wants to learn about Madeira. There you go. Thank you very much for that offer, Aviva. And how much? From Paul. How much is that, lad? Bloody nerd. My better half was a hairdresser for 53 years and free haircuts throughout that 53 years. Well, maybe. I see.
So like €72 for 4 hours, and you think all the product they use, plus then they use the shampoos. They use like a purple shampoo and a other shampoo and then all their conditioners and just their time.
Well, I'm thinking purple shampoo. It already sounds expensive to me. What is purple shampoo for? Why is that special? Is there a reason for that?
Well, when you have like highlights put in, the purple keeps them from being orange.
Oh, okay. I might have to get some for my beard then. In that case.
Oh, right. Yeah. But if that's just a natural, then you might want to go get some.
This was 3 hours in the chair. Recently,
you have to make sure that's all perfect and groomed, and the men have all the men things now, right? Like your special little oils and combs.
No, there are several things that haven't happened to me, and that is one of them. Okay, I don't have any piercings. I don't have any tattoos. I don't play games on computers. It's like a generational thing almost. And I don't use any grooming products. I know piercings and tattoos have been around for a long time, longer than gaming. And the most recent of those things is this manscaping thing, isn't it? Where young men are shaving themselves and sculpting and moisturizing and doing all of those things. I don't do any of that. That's passed me by. I suspect my sons will be doing things like that. But you don't
want to say that in relation to your son. There's another term for manscaping. And
is that okay? All right. Well, see, that's how naive I am about the whole subject. As I understand,
half the British things. Actually, all the British things.
Right. Okay, what I'm referring to,
Bum bag.
just bum bag, are the is the shaving of perfectly natural hair. I'm very 70s in that way, so I have no interest in such matters for myself. I do not judge others who wish to do that, but I mean, think of all the other things you could do with that time on your hands. Right, travelers, before we get more news and updates from Veronica in the Algarve, of course, let's just see what's being said in the chat. Travelers, be sure to check out Azores Air, great quality prices, and what a fabulous layover location in the
Yes.
Azores there. Good idea.
Did you discuss about the United Airlines that was having the direct flights to Faro from New York and how they've been canceled?
Well, it was great news, wasn't it, for a couple of months, and now they've withdrawn it or delayed it. Is that right?
Okay, well, we can talk about it later, but go
All
ahead
right.
and get to the
Well,
comments, or like me, we'll comment on every comment, and then
we'll come back. The tip is the appreciation, absolutely. And Antonio, one noble family in Portugal, the Corte Reals, sent 2 exploration settling expeditions to Canada, but because none of them returned, the king ordered the 3rd brother to abandon the project and not waste resources. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because we had a little bit of history from Sue's. The Scottish King James I had some French Acadians kicked out. Many went to Louisiana. They booted out the Dutch and the Portuguese and battled with the remaining French, hence the name Nova Scotia. And the only reason the Portuguese had any interest in it was for the cod, and came back regularly to get the bacalhau there. Thank you very much for the history lesson this morning.
Does Susie have a history link or a tour or anything that
I'm not sure. Just seems to know,
like
has that kind of mind, yeah, for
I
such
love it.
things. The Darth Vader weighing scales, the reason we call them that is they actually, his weighing scales do look like Darth Vader looking up at you into your dressing gown, and heavy breathing. I haven't put on any weight during this trip. I think he must be lying. Well done, Darth Vader. I'm guessing, you get on the weighing scales, it's da, 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 da. And then if it says, the force is very strong with this one, you have put on a bit of weight. But the force is not very strong in you, and certainly the force of gravity is not very strong. I'm glad to hear that, Coach Turner. Watch documentary from 70 years ago of Portuguese fishermen stocking up supplies for their return trip with a hold full of fish. Wow. And Joan is here with us again. Lovely to see you, Joan. Bon dia, after being a hairstylist for 48 years. Wow. I can't believe that beautiful job. There you go. Nice review there. Let's zoom in. There you go. That beautiful job
and
there.
It's hard to see because where I have it cut, it does look a little stripy, but it's not stripy.
Okay, all right. It's only 70-ish euros. Just her knowledge alone is worth so much more. Agree with you there.
Yes.
And that is why she got a nice tip from Veronica here this morning. That area has been visited by the Portuguese for many centuries, especially for the fishing. And Viv is here as well. Viv, hey, how are you this morning? To the bank, como estás? Bon dia. All right. So yeah, those flights then are they or aren't they coming to Portugal, to Faro, direct from America?
Oh, so they've been postponed, and word on the street is that it was actually United. It didn't have anything to do with Portugal. Portugal was saying that there was security concerns with the planes because the Boeing planes have been having so many issues in the air, like door flying off, and the Portuguese actually and remember they did the ones that there were 3 crashes. Remember the jet where they were trying to sell more jets. And so in order to sell a new model, they kind of redid an older model, but it was, it kept, I think it was doing a nose up. And so they put in a part that made it go nose down so they didn't have to retrain all the pilots, because the airlines will order more jets if there's no training required. So they added this part and told them there was nothing different, and it was nosing down, and the pilots didn't know about this new thing, didn't know how to cut it off, and that's why a few of them crashed. So some of the crashes we've had. So there's just been so many safety concerns, and now with literally parts, doors opening up, and parts flying out while they're flying, that it's been safety issues. And a lot of people are really mad and they blame Portugal, but I think it's good of Portugal, the EU, all of it, to say, we would like safe planes in our skies. So it's unfortunate, but it's really not United saying, oh, we don't want to do it anymore, or Portugal saying, our paperwork's taking forever. It was more safety concern.
Oh, I see. So a lot of people, like with a Facebook post, a lot of people applied their confirmation bias, and anyone who had a beef with Portugal and bureaucracy is like, typical. They've delayed the planes coming in, and it was nothing to do with Portugal. With a beef. Right. It was Boeing. They should be called Boeing, shouldn't they, rather than Boeing,
Oh, I
perhaps?
always say that. Boing, boing,
Boeing.
boing.
Yes,
boing,
it's a
boing,
big story
boing.
here. Says YouTube Punk. Every day there's a drama with a
Yeah.
Boeing. Wow. Okay. So we're just watching and waiting then for the direct flights. What was the origin airport for that in the United States?
It was in New York. I think, was it Newark? Newark, or it was one of the New York ones, but it would be
New York,
going from New York to Faro. So it would be an easy shot for those that, wanted to come on holidays. But then there was the snarky poet post. Good. We don't want Americans here. You snarky British. Out.
Was it my
This
lot?
is our country.
That's right. Yeah.
This is ours.
Was it our lot who were saying that? Was it the Brits saying stuff?
Oh, yeah.
How is that going down there? The Brits and the Americans. Do I need to come down there and have an organized?
I love them all. I think the British are delightful. We had a great dinner
not all
last
of
night.
them.
That's why I invited.
You can tell me they're not all delightful. I know that. I can say that. Now, if you ever need me to come down and smooth over any difficulties, I'm just a phone call away.
I haven't personally met any that I don't like.
Right. Okay.
So I can't.
Right.
Okay. Well, you can come from a place where there's more of them. The ones that reach out to me tend to be the ones who might have an affinity towards Americans.
Yes. Well, I'm very happy to enter into Anglo-British relationships if need be, to smooth over any difficulties. But yeah, it's probably they've just been on the beach all day getting lobster red, bottle of wine, then onto Facebook, and they should think before they post, possibly with that. They're not all delightful. It's true.
I think it's a hobby for some of them. Poke the bear.
Of course it is. Of course they should get proper jobs. As far as I'll give them a good talking to, don't worry. I would give a tip for all that work and that price. More feedback on your delightful
so I'm telling you, it sounds so superficial, but it's one of the biggest questions I get is, can you get a good, haircut, hair color stylist there? And I'm like, we're not in a third world country. Do you see all these beautiful Portuguese women? Of course, they have hairstylists.
Yeah. And I think the worry is this has happened to me. There was a time when I went into a barber's in central Portugal. Actually, the first time I came, I had a great time, all with mime and not a single word of common language. And I had a fantastic shave and haircut in central Portugal 17 years ago, was it? It was great. And then more recently, since I moved here, I went into a barber one day and said to the woman, limpar. And by that, I meant a little bit of a treat. Well, a clean, And right. It could have been wash, and it was really not distinct and focused enough as a serving suggestion to a hairstylist, and she just razzed the whole thing off. It's like got the clippers out.
Limpar must be like completely clean. Like I have lice, so shave it all off.
And I had to stay cool. I was there. I was sat in a chair as if. That's exactly what I ordered. Thank you very much. And very British about it.
Thank you for buzzing my head.
Of course I didn't
say
anything.
To the army.
That is British, you see. And I gave her a tip as well because of my mistake.
But you're a kind human. I think everything comes from the heart, when you're kind.
But this is why people ask you that question, isn't it? Because it's a very intimate and important situation. But as you say, it's not a flipping third world country. This is a country where you can get great hairstylists at a very reasonable rate, as we've seen, and all is well. But it's a matter of getting the word of mouth recommendation, isn't it? That's what you need with a hairstylist.
Absolutely. When it comes to your hair, if you want it shaved off versus if you want it highlighted.
Yes, yeah. But
get a good recommendation. And they're all different price ranges. You can go to a Frufi salon in the Golden Triangle and pay as much as you want. You can go to the Conrad into their spa and pay as much as you want. It's probably not going to be as much as it would be like in Newport Beach, California. But it's still, you can spend more if you want to. If it makes you feel good.
All right, we've got questions about the fire departments, and also I need to find out what the Golden Triangle is. That is not a hairstyle, is it?
You don't know what the Golden Triangle is? I see more of a reason why I have to do this video. East to west.
Okay, so Golden Triangle. You could be forgiven for thinking it was a particular kind of hairstyle, and not on your head, by the way. But what actually is the Golden Triangle?
So the Golden Triangle is generally the British fly in because it's just such an easy hop to Sunshine, right? So
Yeah.
I always tell people this is like their warm, it's like for California going down to Cabo San Lucas. Not that it gets that cold in California. So let's say Washington, Oregon, flying down to Cabo San Lucas, or from the East Coast up north, flying down to Cancun or whatnot, right? It's such an easy flight for you. So I kind of liken it to that. And now I forgot the question. My gosh, I need
The
to
Golden
know.
Triangle. What is this?
So they fly in.
You said it as if everyone would know. I don't think I know what the Golden Triangle is in Algarve.
Senior moment. So they come in and they fly west, and west is where all the fruity fancy places, all the golf resorts. So they're big holiday locations. And if you have money, then you would go to the Golden Triangle, which is Val de Lobo, Quinta del Lago, and then parts of like Villa Mora.
Yes,
and this is where you can get a $10, $20 million house that literally, to me, I think people love it and it's great, but it only has itty bitty beaches. It's under the path of the airplanes. It's right next to the Rio Formosa, which can be a little swampy and mosquitoes. And to me, it doesn't make sense because it's not this, but it makes sense to them. And we call it the Golden Triangle because you better have a lot of gold to buy there. But there's no authenticity. There's no little towns. There's, you have to really drive far to get to a town. It's just where you drive up and go into your house developments, which is where I came from in California. So personally, to me, I can get a little snarky about it because it's not authentic. But for the British, it's about the sunshine and a beautiful home near the beach, which is just different perspectives. I'm here to really integrate into the society and meet the people and look at all these towns and the history, right? History.
Yeah.
So when you say the Golden Triangle, some people are like, oh, I got to live in the Golden Triangle. It's where the beautiful people live, right? So everything's going to be more expensive because if you justify your existence by spending triple the price, then it's important for you, right? To say, hey, I've made it. I've made all this money. I'm in this expensive area. I have means. I can go to the expensive hairdressers. So, same in California. We had different areas that cost triple the amount as somewhere else. So.
And we've got that. I mean, our little sort of version of that, I guess, is Praia del Rey and Bon Sucé. So we've got that happening on the Silver Coast. And some people want that experience, don't they? And it's like a niche within a niche. It's a resort. It's a location, destination in its own right, isn't it? And it's kind of coincidental that it happens to be in Portugal as well. Okay, got it. Totally understand. And yeah, Golden Triangle.
Great Britain South.
Yes, I mean, some scandalous characters are describing, that Portugal has 3 autonomous regions. You've got the Azores, you've got Madeira, and the Algarve, and that probably does come back to these Brits who've colonized the Algarve. But like I say, if you ever need me to come and sort that out, I will. And I will be very happily to be an unofficial British ambassador.
But I think that's why they do get a little miffed because, you do have to remember the history that Portugal has had the longest standing alliance with Great Britain at any alliance in the world. What's it, like 420 years or
it goes back to 1386, Veronica. And we were talking about this last night. Adam, it's all coming back to me now. We had a drunken conversation about... No, seriously, last night it came up in conversation, 1386. We just had the celebration on the 9th of May, but there's another part of it that's happening later in May, and it was suggested that we dress up, some of us Brits, and we get the mayor of San Martino de Porto to also wear tights for the day. Could be a little bit hot and itchy, but we were prepared to put on our doublet and hose and reenact the signing of the Treaty of Windsor and drink mead together and slap each other on the back, and then a fist fight and a sword fight and stuff like that. So yes, definitely up for that. And it is, you're right, the oldest alliance of its kind, military alliance and country-to-country alliance, I think, in the world. And long may it continue. Okay, so we've done the Golden Triangle. What else is going on? Because we've got Carl Hyde joining us soon, and Christopher Kirby Higgs is joining us as well from the team. Yes, with a fantastic, a lovely listing of his as well, because we always like to see the listings that Chris brings and to talk to Carl about what's going on in Lisbon. But before he arrives, what else can you tell us about the Algarve? Any other news from down south?
So the property report is supply and demand. It's never enough. And some people do look at some of the websites and they see, oh, there's a lot, but it's not always a lot, it's the same listing by 5 or 6 different agents or 8 agents, or I've seen up to 30 agents up. So make sure you're really quantifying and filtering and speaking with your real estate agent. And I've been seeing a lot more fraud lately. So be very careful. Listings where I'll go through and look at them and go, they say it's in Villarreal de Santo Antonio. It's not. Like I know this town like the back of my hand. These listings are not here. And these are postings from other countries. Be very careful. Only get a recommended real estate professional. And when you're going direct on those listings, remember that they will save your information if it is a legitimate agency. Like we have a few here in town. Once you're like, give me information, because you can just hit a button, they log you in the computer. So then if you get with an agent, you've done your research, you find a great agent, you go to view one of those properties with your agent, and maybe that other agent is listing that property. They say, oh, no, they're my client. You can't have them. You now hand off your client for a dual agency deal where they have no protections. So just be careful what you're doing. Be mindful. Realize that sometimes things are promoted, and we talked about this before, for something on the back end. Incentives. We had some Americans who were just robbed in a very bad area. There's only 2 areas I don't recommend in the Algarve. I'm not going to say them on here because it's not nice, but I would never recommend this. And they pushed a new development that was overpriced. These expats didn't know it, and then they got robbed. And by very good robbers, like they had dogs downstairs. These people came for a week and fed their dogs. So these people were thinking, oh, the dogs are downstairs. That's their security system. Doors were locked, but they came in and robbed them all, and the dogs didn't say anything. So didn't say anything, didn't bark. So it just, and that just, it ruffles my feathers when it's recommended and you know this is not a safe place for people to live. And there's only 2 places like that. You get way out in the country, and sometimes, you can be a target. And I think that needs to be addressed as well, that, it's just opportunist.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And I've just put a link. We do have, and I'm sad to say it in a way, but of course, a country of 10 million people, and all of life is here. There will be those things happening from time to time, and we're very grateful to Antonio in our Portugal Club platform, and he updates. There's criminal facts in Portugal, things that have gone on that you might want to be aware of. A bit of a crime report, basically, and a court report that Antonio does for us there. Hit that like button, he says. Hit that like button, folks. Christopher is joining us soon as well, as is Carl Hyde, hopefully with a little bit of a report from the capital. Be good to chat with him. And is it still illegal to carry pepper spray and pocket knives? I don't know if it is or it isn't. I noticed that when I was up in the Trilla Mountains, a lot of knives were for sale, but they were for cheese and ham and not for self-defense, as I understand it. And long may it stay that way.
You don't need that. You just need to know the couple areas that are still a little edgy, and stay in the touristy parts, and be self-aware. I think Portugal's still one of the safest countries in the world to live in. But if you get an element here and there, drugs are drugs, and people will take them, and they'll come into tourist areas. I've seen people in my town that I never see, and then they're wandering around more in summertime, and you're like, oh, that could be an opportunist. Or there's gypsies here. In America, we don't have gypsies. People don't know what that is. They don't understand that a cute little 5-year-old's talking to you because mama behind you is grabbing the bag, right? And that is just their culture, that you left your bag out. So that's God's gift to them. But there are little things that are good to be aware of in the neighborhoods that could be by some of the areas where more of that is likely to happen. Even in Lisbon, you need to, watch your back because it's a big city. People will.
You would be naive not to carry some have some sort of street awareness. But
a lot of people are not. They hear the safety report, and my poor friends, Ray and Cindy, have been pickpocketed a couple times because they're just adorable and I love them to death. But they're looking around. One's over here, one's got a cane. In Seville, some guy was opening and closing his coat, and his wife's toggling along behind him. Well, he was opening and closing his coat to mask the fact that he was also reaching into my friend's pocket for his wallet. he wasn't a very good pickpocket, so he dropped it. And then some people
Hold on a minute. We need to, and I'm not. I'm saying we need to welcome Carl Hyde, not because he's a pickpocket or expert in these matters, but because I would welcome his input on this conversation. He's from the capital, and he might have something to say about this. Right, nice big round of applause. Carl Hyde, everybody. Sorry to keep you waiting, mate. But yeah, people have got to have some street awareness, haven't they? We are, as Chris is behind the scenes, he's let us know that pepper spray is not allowed. Piri spray is, but not pepper spray. And of course, Portugal is the 5th safest in the world. But you've got to keep your wits about you, especially in the tourist areas of Lisbon, haven't you, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, I feel very safe walking around Lisbon. But there are certain areas where you'll get offered drugs regularly, you know. I mean, if you walk around and you look very English like me, people are going to offer you, they'll go, hashish, cocaine. And
you're British.
Listen, I just got that look of an English lout, maybe. I don't know.
I've been offered cocaine. What about soccer mom says I take cocaine in Lisbon?
So,
I'm like, really, dude?
When people hear that, they think it can be really off-putting and make it sound rough and tough, and it's not. Something to remember is that most of them aren't actually dealing hashish or cocaine because there are police everywhere. So what they're actually doing is dealing in, I don't know, talcum powder or, tea flakes or something like that. So people buy stuff from them, maybe thinking they're getting a good time. They walk around the corner and realize they've been had, you know. So,
but then again,
things like that. It's very safe in Lisbon. It's very safe.
Lisbon life hacks. If you arrive in Lisbon and you've forgotten talcum powder or tea, then pop down to Rossio Square and you'll be able to get that stuff. By the sound of it,
per gram, it's very expensive, Carl. You know, you're better
off going to the farmacia. Okay,
the point is, use somebody like Carl, Christopher. They know the areas, and they're not going to sell you a house in that type of area. Like, they have ethics. Or they're going to explain it to you. Hey, this is kind of an edgy area. Are you comfortable? You know, there's police around or whatever. Like, you're going to.
I think with things like that, if we all, you may know Pink Street and areas like that. It's very prevalent in places like that. It's just very touristy. A lot of young people around looking to have a good time. So there's a lot of people maybe trying to exploit and take advantage of that. As you sort of radiate out from that really is not a common thing. It's very central, very sort of focused on that kind of area. So. If I go with my friends and things like that, which I do from time to time, man cave buddies and stuff, it's more for comedy value, you know. I don't see a threat in it. If you don't understand what it is, then maybe you would see a threat. But pickpockets, I know head gardener Lee McGrady was devastated 8 years ago. He'd gone into Lisbon to buy a pair of shoes or something like this, and he was on the train going in there. And somebody took something like 120 euros out of his pocket or his backpack. And he was absolutely heartbroken. Never been pickpocketed in his life. Like me, would think he's immune to it, you know, because he's so streetwise.
From Manchester, yeah, right.
It does happen, you know. So, yeah, have your wits about you, zip your pockets up, you know, don't have purses on display. The basics of any big city, I think, really, you know. Portugal's no different in that respect. Overall, extremely safe.
Well said. Well said. And thank you for that question. We'll talk about the fire service as well. We'll welcome Chris to join us in a couple of minutes. Lee, who you just mentioned, I carry a knife. He's still not over it. Look, I carry a knife every day. Pete got me a great blade of Chris. And the thing about the man cave that you mentioned, I think people cross the street when they see the man cave guys walking around central Lisbon as well.
Especially with all our knives. Actually, Pete bought us all knives. We had, I think it was might have been a Christmas do. He came around, he had gifts for everyone. So we're on our Christmas man cave do. And we've all got pocket knives on us walking through Lisbon. So maybe, maybe
you're like a bunch of teenagers going over for a French day trip. Did he give you bangers as well?
It's always fun like a bunch of teenagers, let me tell you.
Unbelievable. How old are you lot? Right, okay, all right.
Old enough to know better.
Old enough to know better, absolutely. Are there Brazilian jiu-jitsu dojos and boxing? Now, YouTube Punk has got some interesting questions here. Can you carry pepper spray, knives, and are there dojos? I think YouTube Punk might need to calm down a little bit because
I can just say to that. I mean, all my kids go to a Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu gym nearby. Yeah. So jiu-jitsu is ubiquitous here. It's a big thing. So
yeah.
Well, and again, you wouldn't need it. Nobody's going to like confront you to that point. What they're saying is crimes of opportunity. To Carl's point, his friend didn't even know that his money was gone. And again, that's the big cities, touristy towns. Just be aware. The point relating back to real estate is that using a legitimate agent and somebody has a great reputation like Carl is going to show you an area that's proper for you and not push an area where he might get a commission where he's aware that because it's so far out in the country, there could be crimes of opportunity.
Well said, well said. And we were talking about this last night as well, actually, the hedonic baseline. This is the basic level of happiness that people have. And it's a good one. It's all related to what we were talking about earlier about living in Portugal and, a vida boa, the good life here. It's the same with safety, isn't it? There's a safety baseline which makes it the 5th safest country in the world. So, of course, these extreme and rare things happen from time to time, especially if you go into particular areas. But generally speaking, what I'm going to suggest to YouTube Punk is like, go easy on being tooled up and ready for a situation, because you make it a self-fulfilling prophecy with that, and you change the culture by being like that as well. So easy does it, YouTube Punk. But thank you very much for your questions. A guy asked hubby if he would like to sell cocaine.
This is just the touristy part of Lisbon, right?
Yeah, and you've got job opportunities, maybe you can get your visa application.
I don't think you can put that on your worker's visa application.
Does it offer a pension?
I don't think so. Healthcare, no, none of that. I think it's probably best to say no, Erica. Pass that on from us, from the team. I'll take it down a notch. Well done, YouTube Bug. Yes, it's worked this morning. It's been lovely talking to you. Has Convo moved into Brixton without me noticing? Says calm down, everybody. It's fine. Sorry. It's the safest country. Haha. I welcome Easy. Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to meeting you here, YouTube Punk. But leave your pepper spray and knife at the door. You can hand that in at reception. Excellent.
I'm sorry I brought it up. It was all about using a good agent.
No, it's good to talk about these things. And
real life. It's the real life.
It's real life. We're keeping Christopher waiting. Let's bring him onto the screen so he can chat with us. Nice big round of applause. Got a great listing from Christopher. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Beijinhos.
How are you
all doing? Bom dia, Portugal.
Bon dia, Portugal. We've been having a great time here, and thank you for your additional commentary from behind the scenes. Do you want to add anything to the 5th safest country and the sort of nature of the conversation we've been having this morning?
Well, I mean, yes, in a way, when I hear all this, I get a bit scared because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I mean, I've lived in Portugal since 1986. Okay, so I've been here for a long time. I'm going on 4 decades of Portugal. And, I've only been mugged once in my life in 1994. I remember because I had a USA 1994, Football World Cup cap on. And the guys took that cap and took my watch. And but that was once in 38 years. So I've hanged around the pink streets. I've hanged around all kinds of dodgy neighborhoods on the northern outskirts of Lisbon, and nothing's ever happened to me. Portugal, when we can say Portugal is the 5th country in the world, we have to realize that the ones that are above it are Iceland in the middle of nowhere, New Zealand in the middle of nowhere. So we're like top 3 if we look at countries with borders. To be able to brag about that when all of our neighboring countries are way down the list in comparison. I mean, even I'm not going to. I don't know what number Spain is in, but I remember when I saw the list a while ago, they were, in the top 20s or 30s or something like that.
Well, Christopher, you'll notice that when you go over on the ferry here, they have bars on all their windows. That's always the telltale sign. If you walk in an area and there's bars on all the windows, it's a little less safe. And here, our town, there's no bars even on the jewelry stores. But the minute you cross into Spain, bars everywhere, and it's a different culture. The people here are very honest, and they will take somebody down if they're threatening their locals.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had many examples in Portugal of village people taking on their own accord to the
village people, Christopher. Village people.
Exactly. I mean, look, guys, there are reasons to be sometimes frightened. I do cross the street when I see Carl.
That That one.
Before you hear me.
Which one? Like, where are we in the Brady Bunch?
Oh yeah, which Carl? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
when I see
hold on a minute.
when I see the man cave in action, I run away.
Yeah,
but,
you should.
No, but
We've all
obviously,
got
guys,
knives, so there you go.
it's true. But there's no reason. I actually do Olympic shooting as well, so I can shoot a pistol pretty well. And I compete in the nationals here in Portugal in Olympic shooting. But
Cool.
the truth is, we are ridiculously safe. I really don't see any need for anyone to carry around knives or pepper spray is not legal. I found this out once when one of my girlfriends, she wanted pepper spray, and I did all the research and asked all the right people. And no, the only thing you're allowed is to have that kind of spray, which is like a paint that if you spray it in the person's eyes, they can't see because the paint kind of stays in their eyes. I mean, it's kind of pepper spray. But anyway, I don't think anyone needs to worry about that, guys. This is ridiculously safe. We have a very good police force that doesn't allow anyone to really get away with stuff. The fact that in Lisbon we have nowadays, in all fairness, some Nepalese and Bangladeshis how many times I go to Lisbon, they come up to me and they're going, hey, marijuana, cocaine. And I'm just like, no, but you can offer me a drink. So, that's all we get in Portugal, guys.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you for the comparisons there as well. And Erica saying, compared to any other crime indicator to Portugal, and Portugal comes up way top. It's a good point about Iceland and New Zealand there. And being weaponized to Jackie means a hot kettle, not to throw hot water at people, but to make tea with, and a cake in the oven. I'm ready for anything. That's the sort of diplomacy and peacemaking we love here on the Good Morning Portugal show. And Suze, I asked in Puerto Rico why bars and windows. The answer was not high crime. It was high prevention. It's a Spanish thing. That's an interesting cultural insight as well. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think we've well and truly addressed Portugal's safety, and some excellent things have been said and noted this morning. You're here with us this morning because you have another fabulous property to share with us, I think, Christopher, this morning. What have we got?
Yeah, so thanks again for inviting me, Carl and Veronica. Of course, it's always a real pleasure to be on Good Morning Portugal. Always fantastic. Love your energy, love your vibe. Great way to wake up in the morning in this country, listening to you guys. So today we have a new listing that's come in São Pedro do Estoril. So São Pedro do Estoril is in Cascais. It's in the Cascais municipality. It's it's right on the what we call the Marginal, which is the dual carriageway that connects Cascais to Lisbon along the coastline. Beautiful road, the Marginal, it's the apartment is overlooking the ocean, so you've got this panoramic view of the ocean. It's really, as you can see by those pictures there, that bathtub. Look at that. That bathtub is in the main room. It's in the master suite. The master suite alone is 52 square meters, which is the size of some apartments. And you can have that, morning bath, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean.
How does this work, Chris? Sorry for interrupting for a moment here, but is that going to be advertised as a place where you can watch the owner having a bath at some point as well?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Right. It's fair to say that at the moment that maybe you need to put some curtains because it's a bit open, but it's one of those features. So this is an apartment that was 100% stripped and totally renovated by the lady who does this as a profession. As you can see, those are Riga pine floors of the highest. I mean, I know that, and she told me, and I don't mind saying it, just in the pine floors itself was 40,000 euros in the floors. It is 307 square meters. Okay, so we're talking about quite a significantly large apartment. That's the size of huge place. Yeah, that's the size of houses. Let's be honest. The 307 square meters is the size of many houses in Portugal. So, in that sense, it's great. It's five bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. The bathrooms are all with Estremos marble, hydro massage showers. The kitchen is absolutely exquisite. It's a beautiful kitchen. It's got 2 Liber fridges that can take 400 bottles. So you've got a nice good.
Enough for the weekend. Excellent.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good weekend.
It's a man cave type. But that living room there in that picture, that living room is 147 square meters of living room area. 147. That's right. It's a very nicely sized apartment. On one side, so facing the ocean, where the whole apartment faces the ocean in terms of the living room and the master suite. And then on the back side, you also have the view of Sintra. You have a panoramic view of Sintra. Let's say the main street there is a super quiet street, which is only for residents. So it's really a very, very nice apartment. It's 2.5 million. Okay, so it's not actually, let's say, obviously it's a high price range, but we can also understand why. I mean, the location speaks for itself. The finishes, if you then open the link and you see the finishes, we've got Bosch appliances, we've got Revigres anti-slip ceramic floor, the Riga pine wood floors, the Estremos marble. It's also got a pool. So let's say this condominium does have an outdoor pool, which is a very nice area of about 1,000 square meters of just the pool area. It's got 24-hour concierge service. You have one garage space, but there's lots of space outside. As you could see, the finishes are exquisite. I love the fact that she's put that kind of like black, Fusco glass, the black kitchen. It's exceptional quality. Not a lot of these apartments come up nowadays in the area because obviously, as you guys can imagine, we've had a big
basically
supply.
On the ocean. I mean, if you look at that image there, I mean, you're on the ocean, and as Veronica's just said in the chat there, location, and then super high quality fixtures and fittings. I mean, it's an amazing place.
Yeah.
What's that glass, Chris? What's that kind of glass you were talking about? I've not heard of that before. Fusco.
No, so this is basically that. What do you call it in English? Sorry, I sometimes know this in the glass that we put in cars, the darken it.
Oh, polarized in tinted glass. Yeah.
Tinted glass. That's it. It's
It's not really English,
Yeah. So it's
an absolute beauty, and the that layout gives you a different idea, doesn't it? That plan view, the proposed layout. That you can see there.
What do you need a layout for? Just hang out in that bathtub all day long. My gosh.
I would be very incredible. In a massive.
There is also a video that I have, which I'm uploading now to the link, so that it will show up today. With the video was only finished yesterday. It will show up today, and it gives you, I walk around the apartment, so obviously it gives you a bit of a virtual tour of the apartment. So Carl Hyde and I, we obviously have a lot of these type of products, listings that come into the agency, and this one is really a special gem in the area, and I really recommend to come and see it. It's really one of those that's it speaks for itself, as I always say.
It does. It's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that this morning. And of course, Estoril is where James Bond, the idea of James Bond, originated. Apparently, Ian Fleming was there at the casino and the hotel, right?
Yes, I can tell you a bit of the story on that. So basically,
yes, please.
Okay, so Ian Fleming was a spy that was working for the Royal Navy during the Second World War, and he was based out of the Hotel Palacio, and there was a Serbian spy there that was also working, and he took so much inspiration with this Serbian spy. I forget the name of the Serbian spy, but basically he then decided with the casino next door, because the Casino Royale, which some people think is the one in Montenegro, the actual Casino Royale is based on the Casino Estoril. So he basically based it on Casino Estoril, and he based James Bond on this spy that was with him at the Hotel Palacio. And so Ian Fleming, James Bond, is 100% created here. And that's why the James Bond that was with George Lazenby, which was filmed in Estoril and was based at the Hotel Palacio, which is called On Her Majesty's Secret Services. That was the name of that James Bond. It was the only one that Lazenby did. And that film is entirely filmed in Portugal, in Lisbon, and he's staying at the Hotel Palacio. And I think that was, when they made that movie, a homage to the original, setting of where the whole thing was filmed. And even to explain a bit more, is that all the British contingent were based at the Hotel Palacio, but all the German contingent was based at the Hotel Atlantico, which now is the Intercontinental Hotel in Estoril. So basically, when there were successful battles being won by the English, they would all be celebrating, and the Germans could hear them across the road in the Hotel Atlantico. And when the Germans very rarely won something, the English could hear the Germans celebrating at the Hotel Atlantico. So it was you can imagine how interesting times it was in living in Estoril. Not to mention
Absolutely. It sounds like Albufeira. It sounds like Albufeira on a Saturday night as well, doesn't it?
But
It pretty
even
much
now,
was.
when you go around and look at all those gorgeous palaces with the history, because that's where all the royalty from Europe, they
Yes.
left their countries and moved to Estoril. They all
Yes.
were running the war from Estoril. They weren't in their countries, you know, helping defend stuff.
Yeah.
They all flew
They
over
were
here,
forced to
built
exile.
mansions while
That's
everybody
what
was
they do.
fighting in their home country.
Yes,
That's true. We had the so we still have the Habsburgs family here, which are the Austrian royal family. They're still based here, the Habsburgs.
Bilderbergs.
But then we had the King of Spain because Franco kicked him out and he came to Estoril. Their house Villa Giralda is still there and is still owned by the royal family. We have the Rei Carol, which has now been converted to luxury apartments, was the Romanian royal family. We had the Bulgarian royal family. We had the Greek royal family. We had the Italian Umberto II of Italy. And actually, if you go to Santini, which is the ice cream shop in Cascais, the Santini, Santini, there's pictures on the walls where you basically have Umberto II of Italy, Juan Carlos of Spain, with pictures of them having ice cream. So that was
people were getting killed on the front.
Thank you very much for that. And you can be their neighbour if you buy this a property here as well. You can move in and be neighbours to these traditional.
That is amazing. There is not even in Israel.
There's not many agents. There's not many. If you're looking for an agent for sort of the Lisbon side of things, Cascais, Israel, there's not many agents going to know the area as well as Christopher does. I mean, he's just giving you that kind of abridged history there of things. I mean, he knows the place inside out, knows the history of it. So
thank you.
And you know, we always talk about referrals, and Christopher, I've known him since our beginning days at Coldwell Banker, and he's amazing. Like, I bonded with him right away. He's ethical. He gets it. He does the right thing. He's classy. He is now the team lead, right? True. I've always loved you, Christopher.
One of the team leaders, yes.
Of the agency. I think there's a special occasion coming up that I'd love to mention if that's possible. But before we go there, we've got a few things to wrap up here with questions that came in. Apparently, yes, if you do go to a barber and ask for a limpa, you are going to get your hair shaved off, and that's what happened to me. So
Clean it, take it off.
No one else need do that now. How would you rate the Portugal fire departments? And there was talk of the GNR as well, and there was a lot of respect for the GNR. I have seen kids running up to the GNR here in Oliveira do Hospital to get hugs. So there's like it's a velvet glove maybe with an iron fist inside if necessary. There is a social and kindly side, but they get tough when they need to, right, Chris?
Well, I mean, yeah. So basically, we have 3 police forces in Portugal. We have the GNR, which are the Guarda Nacional Republicana, so the Republican Guard. We have the PSP, which is the police force, and then we have the municipal police, and then we also have the military police. But we'll leave those out. But the GNR. So basically, the GNR are considered military, and that's the difference between them and the other 2 police forces. The other thing about the GNR is that they're the only ones where you have to have full schooling. So you have to go to the very end of your schooling. You don't have to have a university degree, but you have to go till the very end, which is in Portugal, the 12th grade. The PSP and the municipal police, you only need to go until the 9th grade. So basically, they are higher qualified. The GNR, they're also better paid. They are the presidential guard as well. And they guard the parliament. So there are differences in the forces. Obviously, GNR and PSP, then there's another thing. So PSP are urban and GNR are suburban, or the immediate suburbs of urban areas, which is why it depends in the places where you go. So in the Alentejo and in the Algarve, it's a bit of a mix. But in bigger cities, PSP runs and the municipal police run, like Lisbon and Porto. That's why you won't see GNR inside the city.
The GNR responsible for borders and things like that too?
Yes, and the GNR are responsible for borders. Now, you'll obviously see nowadays that they sometimes cooperate amongst themselves. Of course they do, because at the end of the day, they're all there for the same purpose. But there are, let's say, jurisdictional aspects about the GNR, and they tend to be, let's say, a bit more, they have a higher education, if we can do it that way, and they get better paid. So they're, of a slightly different breed, if we want to call it that way, for a better word.
Well, that's true. Better uniform as well, I would say. Yeah. The boots look good.
Yes, right. They look good.
They do. They do. They got nice buff, blue polo shirts. Enough already of that. I'm getting too excited about the idea of wearing a GNR uniform. Now, we should probably go to if you're
We
not
like
actually,
the idea of the boys
thank
wearing
you.
them too.
All right, and I think we'll have to do a special on the bomberos, because that we can't do that in a few minutes, and that warrants. But just to answer your question, they are volunteers and they are amazing. And we should do a full episode and maybe get somebody on from the bomberos to talk about that. And another topic which we should do in entirety rather than just off the cuff is accessibility here in Portugal. Are there more areas that are more handicap accessible, friendlier than others? There are, and it warrants a particular focus rather than trying to deal with it in the remaining minutes. In fact, it's 10 o'clock now, but we want to know about the big party. The hot ticket. Tell us more, will you please, Carl or Christopher, about this?
I think Christopher's best because he's actually part of the organisation team. He's responsible for a lot of it. So
what's going on, Chris?
All right. Thanks, Mr. Hyde. I appreciate that. So yeah, so I've been one of the people responsible for organizing the Cascais store. So basically, we are opening 2 stores at the end of this month. So on the 29th of May, we are opening our Cascais store, which is actually pretty much in its finishing touches. And we've already got our signs all set up, and we've already got all the interior getting done. So it's pretty much in its finishing touches, and it's going to be stored right in the center of Cascais. I mean, literally, when I say right in the center, it's right in the center. So location in terms of our store. And obviously that would be very helpful for us to assist people that are, walking around in Cascais that, have only just arrived. And we being an international brand as we are, we were expecting to have quite a lot of walk-ins there. So we're organizing that event. Basically, we on the 29th of May will be cutting the ribbon at 16:45. And then we're moving over to a restaurant that we're organizing, setting it up now, called Lotta de Esquina, which is of a very renowned chef, Vitor Sobral. And we're going to be having a party there. And, we're expecting about 400 people. And you know what, guys? Any of you just show up because it's going to be one of those parties where everyone just, you can show up. And obviously, since we've obviously informed you of this on Good Morning Portugal, I'll also be at the door most of the times, letting in people in. So we'd love to receive you. And then on the 31st of May, we will be in the Algarve for our Vila Moura store, which is opening also on the main avenue in Vila Moura. We're also expecting a good party there. We have our CEO and founder, Mauricio Umansky, who's, as you guys know, is always on our Netflix series, Buying Beverly Hills. As you know, the agency has an exclusive Netflix series. Also, obviously, it's very American showbiz, guys, so you're warned of that. But it also shows in exceptional real estate. I mean, we're talking about, $140 million properties and absolute ludicrous, amazing properties that are, a dream come true to all of us, let's be honest. But we're having a lot of them coming over. We're going to have a lot of celebrities, football players, ambassadors. So we're going to have a lot of very interesting guests that are coming.
And Carl Munson's going to come too.
Say that again, Carl.
And Carl Munson's coming too.
I don't
know. Doing, Carl? You're going to be in the Algarve.
I'm going to get my police boots polished up for that.
Absolutely.
What's the date on that one, Christopher? So people can
So Cascais opening is the 29th of May, which is a Wednesday, and you're all welcome. It starts at 16:45, and the exact same time is for the 31st of May, which is Vila Moura, which is the Friday, and that also starts at 16:45. And like I say, you are all welcome. I would ideally ask if any of you are intending to come, because we obviously need to have a guest list that's relatively organized. Carl Hyde, you all know extremely well. You can always, punch him a message if you want to also send me a message. It's totally up to you guys.
Yeah, RSVP seems reasonable. Thank you for your invitation and extending it to our community. Really appreciate that. Why 16:45? Has that been an astrologically chosen auspicious time?
I have no idea. The truth.
That's
No, the truth is, well, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, even I was like, well, 16:45. Okay, thing is, we want to do our party really starts per se around 5:30 and goes on till about 8 o'clock at the Lotta de Esquina. The Vila Moura one stays in the shop. The Vila Moura party will remain at the store. The Cascais one, because our store is quite small, because we didn't need a big store. Don't forget, we have our headquarters in Estoril, in the Congress Center of Estoril. It's a nice, good headquarter office there.
The casino, right next to the casino.
Yeah.
Right next to James Bond, area. But the truth is, we have a really fantastic office there, and obviously we hold a lot of meetings and sign a lot of contracts there at that office. So we only wanted a small store in Cascais Center. So obviously it's not big enough for us to hold a party of 400. So that's why we then just walked down the road to Lotte de Schine, which is right in the center of Cascais, on that main kind of purple street that we have that crosses the center of Cascais. And that's the thing, guys. So, we have the ribbon cutting at 16:45, but you can show up to the party, the main party at, 5:30. That's when things really start to begin. And we have, live music, DJ. We're going to have television there. So it's really going to be one of those unique events that don't happen that often.
A lot of interesting people there.
And Gumpers, you are invited. That's amazing. So thank you very much. I agree completely with the Squire here. Great show, great guest. Thank you all. It's been a great morning. Thank you so much. Despite our slightly hungover state, I think we've rescued it today, haven't we, Veronica? I'm talking about me and Veronica. I wouldn't cast aspersions on the agency gentlemen here who've probably arrived having done yoga and meditation since 6 o'clock. Agency gentlemen, Veronica, thank you very much indeed. Big round of applause. We'll see you soon. Let's go and have a coffee. Ciao, ciao, and bye for now.